In 2008, MySpace stood at the pinnacle of social media dominance with 115 million users, pioneering features we now take for granted: customizable profiles, friend networks, and digital self-expression. They were the undisputed kings of social networking, the first major platform to successfully bring people together online at scale. Yet that same year, a relatively late entrant called Facebook would surpass them, beginning MySpace's rapid descent into irrelevance. This raises a fascinating paradox that challenges conventional wisdom about innovation and market dynamics. We're often told that being first to market provides incredible advantages: the chance to establish industry standards, build brand recognition, and capture customer loyalty before competitors arrive. After all, pioneers get to plant their flag in virgin territory, while followers must fight for already claimed land. But if being first is such an advantage, why do we see this pattern repeat throughout business history? Prodigy and CompuServe dominated early online services before AOL revolutionized internet access. Yahoo defined web search before Google transformed it. Xerox PARC invented the graphical user interface, but Apple and Microsoft built empires by refining it. The real story of market leadership is more nuanced and counterintuitive than simple first-mover advantage would suggest. Over the next few minutes, we'll deconstruct both legendary successes and spectacular failures to uncover the true formula. We'll examine why some pioneers maintain their lead for decades, while others flame out despite massive head starts. And we'll reveal how the timing of market entry is just one piece of a complex puzzle that determines long-term success. The rise and fall of MySpace isn't just a cautionary tale. It's a gateway to understanding the real drivers of market leadership in a world of constant innovation. Let's discover why being first isn't enough, and what actually determines who wins in the end. When business strategists talk about first-mover advantage, they typically point to three core benefits that pioneers supposedly enjoy. But as we'll see, these advantages can sometimes transform into anchors that drag down early leaders, allowing more agile followers to surge ahead. The first and most obvious advantage is brand recognition and customer loyalty. The theory goes that by being first, companies can establish themselves as the default choice in customers' minds. Think about how we still say Google it rather than search for it. That's the power of being first to capture mindshare. But brand recognition alone isn't enough. First movers typically spend 47% more on marketing and customer education compared to fast followers, often carrying the burden of teaching customers why they need this new product or service in the first place. The second advantage involves controlling key resources and technology. First movers can patent critical innovations, secure the best physical locations, or lock up crucial supply chains before competitors arrive. This seems compelling on the surface. After all, who wouldn't want to claim the best resources first? But here's where it gets interesting. Studies show that fast followers can often learn from the pioneers' mistakes and develop more efficient technologies or distribution systems, spending significantly less in the process. The third advantage centers on switching costs and network effects. Once customers invest time and energy in your platform or ecosystem, the thinking goes, they'll be reluctant to switch to competitors. This is particularly powerful in digital markets where network effects apply. The more people use your service, the more valuable it becomes. Yet, according to recent research, fast followers can overcome these barriers by offering dramatically better products or significantly lower prices, as we saw when Facebook displaced MySpace, despite the latter's massive network advantage. What makes this framework particularly fascinating is how these supposed advantages can actually become disadvantages under certain conditions. First movers often become trapped by their early technological choices, struggling to adapt as market demands evolve. They frequently overinvest in educating the market, only to watch followers swoop in once customers understand the product category. And sometimes, being first means dealing with immature technologies and infrastructure, forcing pioneers to build everything from scratch, while followers can leverage more developed ecosystems. As we examine real-world cases through this lens, we'll discover that the timing of market entry is just one variable in a complex equation. The true determinants of success often lie in how companies leverage or overcome these three core components. Whether you're a pioneer or a follower, understanding this dynamic is crucial for crafting winning strategies in today's rapidly evolving markets. When Jeff Bezos launched Amazon in 1994, he didn't just stumble into online retail. He methodically chose books as his first product category after analyzing 20 different options. This decision proved masterful, as books offered unique advantages for e-commerce. They're easy to ship, don't spoil, come in standardized sizes, and customers know exactly what they're getting. What's particularly fascinating is that Amazon's initial first-mover advantages weren't the traditional ones most people think of. While brand recognition helped, the real advantage came from Amazon's relentless focus on building infrastructure and gathering customer data before anyone else understood their importance. The company invested heavily in automated warehouses, sophisticated inventory systems, and customer recommendation algorithms at a time when most retailers saw online sales as a minor addition to their physical stores. By 2001, Borders realized they needed an online presence, but instead of building their own robust e-commerce platform, they partnered with Amazon to power their online sales. This decision proved catastrophic. While Amazon was gathering crucial data about customer preferences and buying patterns, Borders remained focused on their physical stores, missing the fundamental shift in retail dynamics. Amazon's success wasn't just about being first. It was about using that position to build advantages that would be nearly impossible for followers to replicate. Their recommendation engine became more sophisticated with each purchase, their fulfillment centers more efficient with each delivery, and their customer relationships deeper with each interaction. This reveals a crucial insight about first-mover advantage. The initial benefits of being first matter far less than what you do with that head start. Amazon's true genius wasn't in being the first online bookstore. It was in recognizing that books were just the beginning. They used their early position to build infrastructure and gather data that would later help them dominate not just books, but all of e-commerce. While Borders and other traditional retailers focused on protecting their existing business models, Amazon used its pioneer position to reinvent retail itself. The customer data they gathered didn't just help them sell more books, it helped them understand how online retail could work for everything from electronics to groceries. This points to a broader truth about first-mover advantage. It's not just about getting there first, but about using that position to build sustainable advantages that others can't easily copy. The lesson here isn't simply that being first matters. It's that being first only matters if you use that position to build something truly difficult to replicate. Amazon didn't win because they were first. They won because they used their first mover position to create advantages that would last long after others entered the market. Being first to market isn't just about planting your flag in unclaimed territory. It often means carrying heavy burdens that followers never have to bear. The true cost of pioneering goes far beyond standard business expenses, creating what we might call the pioneer's tax, a set of hidden costs that can drain resources and create vulnerabilities that later entrants can exploit. Consider the story of Apple's Newton, launched in the early 1990s with a staggering development cost of $100 million. Apple had to educate consumers about an entirely new product category, the Personal Digital Assistant, PDA, while simultaneously developing immature handwriting recognition technology and building software from scratch. The result? Fewer than 100,000 units sold in its first year, with over 30,000 original models ending up in landfills due to poor sales and high return rates. Enter the Palm Pilot a few years later. By the time Palm launched their device, consumers understood what PDAs were supposed to do, handwriting recognition technology had matured, and development tools had improved significantly. Palm didn't just benefit from better technology, they benefited from Apple's expensive market education efforts. The result? Palm went on to sell over 21 million units of their PDAs, dominating the market that Apple had pioneered but failed to capture. First, market education expenses can be astronomical. First movers don't just have to convince customers to buy their product. They have to convince them that this type of product should exist at all. Research shows that first movers typically spend 47% more on marketing and customer education compared to fast followers, often for lower returns. Second, immature infrastructure creates hidden costs. When you're first, you can't just plug into existing systems. You have to build everything from scratch. This isn't just about technology, it's about supply chains, distribution networks, and support systems. First movers often overinvest in infrastructure that becomes obsolete as standards evolve. Third, technological uncertainty forces pioneers to make big bets without clear guidance. When Apple was developing the Newton, they had to guess which technologies would mature and which would fail. Palm, on the other hand, could see which approaches worked and which didn't, allowing them to make more informed decisions about product design and features. But here's where it gets interesting. These burdens aren't always insurmountable. The key lies in understanding when these pioneer costs are likely to be offset by first mover advantages. This brings us to the concept of optimal entry timing, the sweet spot between being too early and too late. Studies of first mover advantage versus fast follower success suggest that timing isn't just about being first or second. It's about entering the market when the ratio of opportunity to cost is highest. For example, in markets with strong network effects like social media, being first can be crucial because user adoption creates barriers to entry. But in markets where technology is rapidly evolving, like mobile devices, entering too early often means betting on immature technology while carrying the burden of market education. The Palm Pilot's success over the Newton illustrates this perfectly. Palm entered when the market was ready, but not yet mature, late enough to benefit from improved technology and market understanding, but early enough to capture significant market share. They found the optimal entry timing that maximized opportunities while minimizing pioneer burdens. This reveals a crucial insight. The goal isn't necessarily to be first, but to be first at the right time. understanding the pioneer's burden helps companies make better decisions about when to enter markets and how to allocate resources if they do choose to pioneer. Sometimes, the smartest strategy is to let others carry these burdens and enter when the path to success becomes clearer. The myth of first mover advantage begins to crumble when we examine some of the most successful companies in recent history. Consider Google, which entered the search engine market years after pioneers like AltaVista and Yahoo had established themselves. These early search engines had already done the hard work of teaching people to search online, building initial infrastructure, and establishing basic market demand. But what's truly fascinating is the pattern that emerges when we examine successful fast followers. These companies don't just copy what came before, they systematically learn from pioneer mistakes, leverage improved technology, and execute with remarkable precision. It's a formula that turns conventional wisdom about market entry on its head. Take Samsung's journey in the smartphone market. After Apple revolutionized mobile phones with the iPhone in 2007, Samsung didn't just create a copycat product. They studied the market carefully and executed a brilliant fast follower strategy. Starting from just 9.12% market share in 2011, they more than doubled their presence to 25.34% by 2014. The fast follower formula that emerges from these success stories has three key components. First, successful fast followers excel at learning from pioneer mistakes. When Google entered the search market, they studied why earlier engines failed to deliver satisfying results. They observed that link-based relevance worked better than keyword matching alone, and that clean, simple interfaces outperformed cluttered portals. Second, fast followers often bring superior execution capabilities to bear on problems pioneers have already identified. Samsung didn't just understand what Apple had done right. They leveraged their manufacturing expertise and supply chain mastery to produce competitive phones at various price points, reaching market segments Apple hadn't addressed. Studies show that fast followers typically spend 47% less on market education while achieving higher efficiency in product development. Third, and perhaps most crucially, successful fast followers master the art of timing. They enter markets at what we might call the sweet spot, when fundamental technologies have matured, but before market leadership has been fully consolidated. Research indicates that fast followers who enter during this optimal window have a failure rate of just 8%, compared to a 47% failure rate for pioneers. This formula helps explain why, contrary to popular belief, many dominant market leaders today weren't first movers. Facebook wasn't the first social network, Amazon wasn't the first online retailer, and Google wasn't the first search engine. Each of these companies entered established markets, but executed the fast follower formula with remarkable precision. What makes this especially interesting is how it challenges our romantic notions about innovation. We often celebrate being first, but the data tells a different story. Studies of market leadership across multiple industries show that fast followers often achieve higher long-term market share than pioneers. First movers maintain market leadership in their category only 11% of the time, while fast followers frequently emerge as the ultimate market leaders. The key insight here isn't that being first is always a disadvantage, but rather that the advantages of fast following are often underestimated. Fast followers can learn from pioneer mistakes without paying the price for them, leverage more mature technologies and infrastructure, and focus their resources on execution rather than market education. When combined with superior operational capabilities and careful timing, this approach can be remarkably powerful. So when exactly should a company aim to be first? And how can they maximize their chances of success? By analyzing both historical patterns and modern success stories, we can construct a practical playbook for would-be pioneers in today's fast-moving markets. The modern first-mover advantage isn't about simply being first. It's about being first with the right conditions and capabilities in place. Let's examine this through the lens of TikTok versus Instagram Reels, a fascinating modern case study in market timing and execution. TikTok's explosive growth from 347 million users in 2018 to 653 million users in 2019, representing an 88.3% growth rate, shows what's possible when you get the timing right. As the pioneer in AI-driven short-form video, TikTok didn't just enter first. They entered at precisely the right moment when smartphone technology, AI capabilities, and consumer behavior all aligned. In contrast, Instagram Reels launched in 2020 as a fast follower but achieved significantly lower growth rates, with Instagram's overall user base growing just 8.3% in the following year. This brings us to the modern first mover checklist. 3 critical conditions that should be in place before attempting to pioneer a market. First, verify that the fundamental technologies are mature enough to deliver a compelling user experience, but not so mature that the space is already crowded. TikTok timed their entry perfectly. AI had advanced enough to power their recommendation engine effectively, but no other platform had fully leveraged this capability for short-form video. Second, ensure you have the resources to sustain a long-term advantage. Research shows that successful first movers typically invest heavily in 3 areas: technological infrastructure, market education, and user acquisition. The goal isn't just to be first, it's to build barriers to entry that followers will struggle to overcome. Third, confirm that network effects or switching costs can create lasting advantages. In markets without these characteristics, being first often doesn't matter as much as superior execution. This explains why some first movers maintain their lead for decades, while others quickly lose ground to followers. But perhaps the most crucial insight from modern first movers is how they approach risk mitigation. Rather than betting everything on a single launch, successful pioneers today often use a phased approach. 1. Start in a smaller, more controlled market to test and refine the product. 2. Gather data and improve the offering before expanding. 3. Build infrastructure that becomes more valuable as the user base grows. 4. Create ecosystem lock-in through partnerships and integrations. This modern playbook helps explain why some recent first movers have succeeded where earlier pioneers failed. They're not just first to market, they're first with a sophisticated understanding of how to build sustainable advantages in today's digital economy. The key lesson here isn't that companies should always strive to be first, but rather that they should be strategic about when and how they pioneer new markets. In today's fast-moving business environment, the advantage goes not to those who simply arrive first, but to those who arrive first with the right capabilities, at the right time, and with the right strategy for building lasting advantages. Looking forward, this suggests that successful first movers will increasingly be companies that combine the traditional benefits of being first with modern capabilities in data analytics, scalable infrastructure, and ecosystem development. The goal isn't just to plant your flag first, it's to build a fortress that gets stronger with each attempt to challenge it. As we conclude our exploration of first mover dynamics, let's shift from passive learning to active analysis by considering some thought-provoking questions that challenge our understanding of market timing and competitive advantage. First, consider Amazon's journey. How might their story have ended differently if they had remained solely focused on books? While their first mover advantage in online book selling was significant, it was their expansion beyond books that created lasting value. Would their initial advantages in infrastructure and customer data have been enough to fend off competitors if they hadn't leveraged these assets across multiple categories? Second, examine your own market entry decisions. What specific market conditions would push you toward being a fast follower rather than a first mover? Consider factors like technological maturity, customer education costs, and the presence of network effects. Would you choose to be a fast follower in a market where the technology is rapidly evolving, like current AI applications, or one where customer acquisition costs are particularly high? Third, apply our optimal entry timing framework to emerging technologies like AR glasses. When is the right time to enter this market? Consider the current state of display technology, battery life limitations, and consumer readiness. How would you balance the pioneer's burden of market education against the potential benefits of establishing early standards and user behaviors? Finally, look around at today's emerging markets. Can you identify a sector where being a first mover right now might be particularly advantageous or dangerous? Think about areas like quantum computing, autonomous vehicles, or sustainable energy solutions. These questions aren't just academic exercises. They're practical tools for developing your own strategic thinking about market entry timing. Whether you're an entrepreneur planning your next venture or a business leader evaluating new opportunities, understanding when to be first and when to follow fast can mean the difference between market leadership and costly failure. Remember, the goal isn't to always be first or always be second. It's to enter the market at the optimal time with the right capabilities and strategy. The most successful companies aren't just good at timing their market entry. They're excellent at executing their chosen strategy, whether they're pioneers or fast followers.